Hello, everyone, and welcome to our preview for Pakistan versus Afghanistan. I'm your host, Eman, and today I have with me Ajay. Ajay has been a fan of Afghanistan for quite a few years, longer than I've been a fan of Afghanistan. I'm pretty good fan of Afghanistan. But yeah, so tell me when you got into Afghanistan cricket. Let's start off with that. And how much of an expert do you consider yourself to be? Because it is a bit of a niche market, let's be real.
Yeah, so I've been following them since the 2012 T20 World Cup and that their second ICC event.
Yeah.
So I've been following them since then, and I've seen all the Zadrans, the the Asghar Afghans and Stanik Zais, pretty much all of them. And it's pretty unfortunate that I still have to see a few of them in the squad, but that's Afghanistan Cricket Board for you.
Yeah, well said,
Yeah,
actually. So right now we're smack dab in the middle of the World Cup. A lot's going on, and I mean, Pakistan versus Afghanistan was always going to be an important game. There's always a lot of drama attached to the game before it and then during it as well. It always seems to be a very happening affair. But we're at this point right now where Afghanistan actually, I mean, they've had a really, really brilliant match versus England. I think a complete performance, and then they've had a not so great match versus New Zealand, where I really felt like there was a point in the first innings where I was like, oh my gosh, we're in this. Um,
yeah,
and then things quickly fell apart right after that. And then Pakistan are in a place where they started their campaign well, and then they fell apart versus India. And I mean, we're talking right now after the Australia loss, which feels like a match that should have been way closer than it was. So it's a weird space for both teams. But tell me, how are you feeling as an Afghanistan fan? How do you view your chances going into the game?
I think the England win was a pleasant surprise. Like we were expecting them to topple a few big sides this tournament, but England was not really up there in the list. And witnessing the even at the venue live was surreal.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
however, as it is always expected of the Afghans, they were back to their true self in the next game itself. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean
yeah. I mean, sorry, go
you
on.
cannot teach you cannot teach old dogs new tricks, and that's been
Yeah,
the case for quite a long time now.
yeah, I mean, I think this win was a long time coming, to be honest. It
Yeah,
is harder than people think it is to win in at the ODI World Cup. I mean, Afghanistan obviously is also on the back foot because they have a lack of experience versus the other teams, versus the top teams that come in. I think for England, for New Zealand, and maybe even for Australia, I'm pretty sure they've only met them at World Cup. So like 2015, 2019, and now 2023. So they're already like not really used to playing those players. So you said that. I'm sorry, I was going to ask you a different question, but I'm interested. You said that you expected them to topple a few big dogs, but England wasn't up there. Who was up there? And was Pakistan one of them?
Pakistan was at the top of the list because the two sides have had quite a lot of close games every time they have met.
Yeah, yeah,
Starting from the 2019 World Cup, it went to the last over. Then
yeah.
Asia Cup 2018, another Asia Cup, and then the recently had three match series was also a like competitive
Mm-hmm.
fixture. So we were expecting them to beat Pakistan. Let's see what happens in Chennai because Afghanistan played in Delhi their first game and they were humbled by India big time. But then
Yeah,
they got used to the conditions and came back pretty strong against England. So we may see a repeat of that happening on 23rd,
yeah.
but it all depends on the middle order because Afghanistan, the issue with them is their middle order because it's
Mhm.
filled with those old dogs that I was talking about
Yeah.
recently. So Rahmat and Hashmat, they have the skills, they have the talent, they have the shots, but it's the same old. Their cricket book is different from other people for some reason. They like to block the balls and then stay in the crease. Some coach has to change their mindset that you can also take singles, you can rotate the strikes. They build pressure not only on themselves but also the other batters like Gurbaz and Ibrahim, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So if the middle order clicks and if they somehow post above 250 batting first, Pakistan are in trouble. And if they bowl first and they restrict them below 230 or 200, then again Pakistan are in trouble.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like while I was really, really happy with Gurbaz's knock, I would say that I wouldn't say he's underperformed. I say there's still a lot that he can do at the World Cup for
Absolutely.
Afghanistan. But I would argue that my personal favorite, Ibrahim, hasn't. I know he's young. I know it's his first like big tournament, and I know there's so much, like so many more years of him that we'll get, hopefully, inshallah. And he might even be Afghanistan's best ever ODI player. I'm a little biased if you can't tell. But do you think that we're still waiting on a big one from Ibrahim, or do you feel like he's too stuck in his head at the big stage?
I don't think it's anything to do with the big stage. It's
Okay.
just he has been off color for some time now.
Hmm.
And the thing with Gurbaz and Ibrahim is Ibrahim needs Gurbaz to be
Yeah.
there, but Gurbaz doesn't need Ibrahim. So
Yes.
that's the thing. And Trot, the head coach, has already said that for Afghanistan to win, Gurbaz has to score big.
Yep.
But the
Yep.
problem with Gurbaz has been he either goes big or he goes home.
That's the kind
That's
of
all.
guy he is. Yeah, that's the kind of guy he is.
But I think
Yeah.
that's not really the approach you should be following in ODI cricket.
Yeah.
I think he still needs a bit of maturity,
Yeah.
and the psychological barrier is still there. He's still stuck into a middle ground of ODI and T20 cricket where he's not able to differentiate when to play big shots, when to go after the bowlers, and when to just take a step back and build your innings. But the good
Yeah.
part about Buzz is even if he is striking at 50, he can catch up in the
Mm-hmm.
later part of the innings.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the way he builds his innings, and that's something I always try to use when people say that Gurbaz is a brainless batter. I say the way he builds his ODI innings, his best
Yeah,
kind of innings, is
yeah,
is very clever. Even the way he played England, even though that didn't follow his usual template, he usually takes it a bit slow and then explodes in the middle overs. The way he played England was something that no English batter did, like no
yeah.
other batter in the match
I'm
did.
sure they were not expecting him to go berserk from ball. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's what I really liked about him. Of course, it doesn't help that, I mean, I get what you said about Hashmat. I thought that his him firing versus India was interesting. But his knocks after have been a little bit.
if you see the stats, all of Hashmat's 50s and good innings have come in a losing cause.
Yeah,
So I don't really count
I
that innings
agree.
at all.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
no
a
use.
great TV. Yeah, but yeah, it's been a little bit painful to watch that. And it's worse, I think, to know that when you're losing your two best batters on top, that's what you've got. And Pakistan are in a bit of a different conundrum. If you look at the scorecard from today, what seems to be happening is our openers finally fired, and it
Yeah,
looked like things were going well, and then the man that you kind of expected to fire did not at all, and that's why we lost ultimately. So it's
yeah,
an interesting conundrum. I think Afghanistan have a number three slash number four who they think they might will most likely let them down.
yeah.
Pakistan, I think, are at a point where the number three, even though he was never really meant to let them down, is the one that's letting them down. So yeah, it's I think it'll be
I
interesting to
think
see how things
that's the
go.
beauty of cricket. No, it's a team sport. You cannot
Absolutely.
expect one or two people to fire and then win games.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. And
At
I
least
think
three or four of your players have to make a match winning impact for a win to
yeah,
be registered.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I thinking about just Afghanistan's spin attack and impact players. How good was Mujib the other day versus England? That
First
was
of all,
an
I would like to
incredible.
say this out loud that Afghanistan is much more than their spin attack. I think
Yeah.
experts need to calm down a bit now. They have they have decent enough fast bowlers, and
Yeah.
the best fast bowlers that they currently have are currently playing for their A team and sitting back home.
Really?
That's an
Who? Please tell.
So they have Salim Safai or Safi.
Okay.
I'm not really sure about the pronunciation, but he's
Yeah.
playing for Afghanistan A currently in Oman. They have a
Interesting.
series. They are having a series in Oman right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they have some other coming bowlers coming in. Like we have Naveed Zadran, who is
Yeah.
also part of Afghanistan A now. So you
Yeah.
have direct replacements for Naveen, the
Mm-hmm.
likes of Naveen and Fazal if he doesn't do good in the coming matches because Fazal has been off color of late. He
Yeah.
hasn't been performing to his potential.
Yeah.
And speaking of spinners, coming back to Mujib has been all right. I would say he's been all right, but like he will give you at least 10 hit me balls in his 10 overs.
I think you can give that allowance when that guy is scoring at as a tail ender. and then he's also bowling the ridiculous spell that he did in the
He
second
does, he
half
does.
towards the
But
end.
still, the problem with Afghanistan is they never play with 11 players. No, so Mujib has to fill the role of at least two players over there. He
Yeah.
can't be bowling 10 hit me balls.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that the spin attack is still way better placed than Pakistan's spin attack.
absolutely.
Uh,
I mean, they dropped Shadab Khan for the Afghanistan game. I was so surprised. He hasn't
yeah,
been playing really well of late, but he still is your vice captain. And
yeah,
dropping a vice captain doesn't give very good
exactly.
signal.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I really honestly hope, I know it's Chennai and everyone wants to see Osama Mir and, well, not everyone, some fans want to see Osama Mir in Chennai, but I
yeah,
really hope that Shadab is back for that, because it's not just his bowling that we need to back and his vice
yeah,
captaincy, but it's also his batting. He is
absolutely.
still one of the better players of spin. And when you're thinking about the fact that Iftikhar is going to be at number six, Iftikhar is vulnerable to spin. I know some people disagree, but I will stand by that. You need someone like Shadab cushioning him. Even
Yeah.
better, in my opinion, would be to bring Aga into the attack if they are willing to drop South, just because Aga and Shadab will then be able to kind of like navigate the spin hitting, especially towards the end.
Yeah,
Because
and
Afghanistan,
Shadab can come in and play a cameo and really take the pressure off
exactly.
the other batters.
Yeah, I do think they're missing a trick. Pakistan is by not using Saud or promoting Shadab up the order when the opposition is going spin heavy at them, and the players that are kind of weaker against spin, especially, it's going to be in Chennai. It's going to be even scarier there, and we're up against Afghanistan. It's a big match. We probably, as a Pakistan fan, I'll be honest, probably couldn't be worst placed right now to
Yeah,
face
to be in.
Afghanistan.
But it's not spinning as much as it uh, was anticipated to in Chennai.
Yeah, I would argue that that's just the thing, right? You don't need for the pitch to be spinning when it's Rashid Khan and Mujib and
Yeah.
Afghanistan versus Pakistan. Something happens. It just something happens and
But for
things
that,
start.
you need a good cushion of runs.
Yeah. And hopefully someone will be scoring all those runs versus spin. But no,
Hope.
I thought that your point about pace was really interesting. I really think Omarzai is rather underrated. He's flown under the radar. I think he's
No, he's not
offering.
underrated. He's underrated only in the books of ACP. Yeah.
Is
If you
it?
see, if you saw him, yeah. So he played in the Everest Premier League, which takes place in Nepal,
Okay.
and then he went on to play in the Bangladesh Premier League.
Oh
And
yeah.
for some unearthly reason, the captains in Nepal and Bangladesh know how to utilize Azmat better than Hashmat. Yeah, it's so it's unfortunate and depressing, but Azmat needs to bowl in the first 10 overs if the ball is
Yeah.
swinging.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
that has to be your plan A.
Yeah, his figures have been ruined. I was reading an article about this, about how like his figures just don't look as good because of
Yeah,
these 2 or 3 overs that he bowled at the end. And I was like, why are they using him there? I mean, that's
because
something that you.
they're too stubborn to move Mujib out of the first power play. That's one
Yeah,
of the reasons.
yeah,
But if you catch up with the highlights of Azmat's bowling in BPL, he was taking wickets for fun. He was clean bowling batters like Mushfiqur Rahman for fun, like
yeah.
literally for
He's
fun.
brilliant. He's brilliant. I think in the PSL as well. I believe he plays for Peshawar, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly. Yeah.
yeah.
And honestly, I know this is not a PSL conversation, and I'm not a Peshawar fan by any means, but he is the kind of player that they need in their lineup. He balances the team so well. And the fact that he's carrying this in the ODI at the World Cup is incredible. And I also thought, I mean, Naveen, I know he's someone that a lot of people don't kind of agree with, or and people didn't really care when he announced his retirement, to be honest, from what I could tell. But I've always thought that he offers quite a bit, and I was glad to see that when they won, it was because as well that Naveen was kind of firing, and he also, I think, did decently versus was it New Zealand? Yeah, I think he did decently versus New Zealand as well in the last match. Yeah,
He took some crucial wickets towards the end.
yeah.
And
He did, he
they
did.
managed to keep the score under 300. Otherwise, 320 was definitely on. And
Yeah,
Naveen isn't just a like half a good death bowler. He is also a good cricketing mind.
Yeah.
because he took them to Asia Cup final, under 19 Asia Cup final in 2018. They won the Asia
Interesting.
Cup, yeah, and then they went on to reach the semi-finals of the under 19 World Cup in New Zealand.
I
So
remember that. Yeah.
he's a contender for captaincy as well in T20 at least.
Interesting. So you're not a big fan of the changing captains that have been going on in Afghanistan cricket? Do you feel like Naveen might take over soon?
I want him to. I think giving Rashid Khan captaincy was not a great move
How would
for.
you rate him as a captain, by the way?
I'm sorry,
How would you rate Rashid as a captain? I'm just curious. So as a cricketing mind beyond his own bowling.
below par, below average.
Really
Because
interesting.
if you followed what was the league? Yeah, the South Africa T20.
Hmm.
He was captaining MI Cape Town, I guess, and
Yeah.
they had a horrendous tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't follow it closely, so I don't know if it was because of captaincy blunders, but I did hear about that.
the thing with Rashid now, this might get a bit political, but the team selection that Rashid does are quite questionable.
Uh,
Even the T20 team that is playing in Oman right now, and the T20 team that went to the Asian Games, was reportedly picked by Rashid Khan, and it wasn't the team that should have been.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, this is so cool because I really feel like not enough people talk about this side of Afghanistan cricket. It's always when they're doing really well, when they come close to
yeah.
winning or they win, people are like, "Oh, Afghanistan cricket, so cool! Like explosive
They
batters."
are always like one night wonders.
Yeah, yeah. But there's a lot of complexities behind it. I
Yeah,
thought that I mean, personally, I'm a Lahore Qalandars fan, so I'm big on Rashid Khan. He's basically might as well be my Lord
he's
of the
great.
Orient.
Yeah, he brings a lot to the table. His
Yeah.
bowling, his batting, his fielding, and he inspires other players to do well.
Mm-hmm.
But Rashid Khan, the captain for Afghanistan, is not the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you must watch any of in Afghanistan's T20 international games, you could really, any person who understands cricket would be able to see.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't
Because,
happy with his captaincy when I watched him, but it's Rashid, so you kind of like. I mean, it's kind of easy to give him the leeway. I feel like a lot of people feel the same way about Babar Azam sometimes. You
Mhm.
want to like them as captain because you're like they're such a good player,
Yeah,
but yeah. Tell me about Rashid Khan's ODI bowling. Obviously, he is one of the greatest T20 players of all time, no question about it. And I think he's there was this narrative flowing around recently that oh Rashid just isn't that good against top six teams, which I thought was a little bit unfair given how often does he even play the top six teams for you to
my answer to that would be a mixed bag. I mean, it's
yeah
a mixture of a lot of things.
yeah
So, in T20 cricket, Rashid has to bowl 24 deliveries, and batters have to go against him because they have 120 deliveries in all.
mm-hmm.
In ODI cricket, they have 300 deliveries, and Rashid is bowling just 60 of those. So they have a lot more time to see him off, and they can attack other bowlers.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say he definitely has lost some of the bite that he used to have because he plays just too much cricket. You would
Yeah,
find Rashid Khan playing every league out there in the world, be it BPL, be it BBL, be it NEL, any league. Rashid, you'd find Rashid over there.
he has an injury or he had
Yeah,
one very recently.
he's carrying a back injury as well.
Yeah, I remember I read about that. See, that's he's important to Afghanistan, but that's just
He's
unfortunate.
tremendously important, but uh, priorities for him could be different than priorities for ECB.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, I think he'll still be very, very important. That psychological advantage is definitely on his side versus Pakistan on Monday. And
Yeah.
what's more is while people, I mean, I think that some people try to argue that forget psychological advantage. Rashid is getting smacked around in ODIs, and again, to that, I will say sample sizes are hilarious. The top
Yeah.
six versus
And he's definitely not getting smacked around.
yeah,
That's
I
the most.
thought that was yeah, and I think that the last two games have been at least for his bowling have been a little bit of a look. It's Rashid Khan, like he's versus England and New Zealand. He's doing quite well.
Yeah.
And I don't know again how the conditions will play out, but it could be flat as. flat as whatever, flat as a pancake.
Yeah,
But I feel like just Rashid and Mujib bowling, and even Faruqi steaming in the first 10 is going
yeah.
to put pressure on Pakistan.
Finally, Fazal is back to his almost best in the first 10 overs.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
he's getting to swing the ball again, if not
yeah,
much, at least a little, because his pace has, his pace has definitely come down. He used to
yeah,
bowl in excess of 140, even 145 at a
definitely.
time,
Yeah.
but right now he's bowling around 130, sometimes even below 130.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, I think Shaheen is struggling for Pakistan. Today his spell was much better than it has been, but it was also because he pulled back his length, smart man, quite early when he realized it wasn't swinging. And you could argue that Chinnaswamy is it was never going to swing there in the first place when you're bowling first. But it'll be interesting to see how he plays. I had thought before today that if there's a bit of bounce, which might be so in Chennai, Rauf would be key. But then the way he's bowled today, it's like I don't know what's happened to him as well. So I would argue that even though Afghanistan didn't do so well versus New Zealand, the fact that they have a really good bowling performance very recently.
Yeah.
Pakistan should be scared because their bowling is struggling, and yeah. So I think that who do you
I
think has
think
the advantage?
I think I would like to add to that Naseem missing out has been a real blow for Pakistan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
not just his bowling, he used to carry so much energy into the team and onto the field, and that makes a lot of difference. Because Hassan Ali, with no disrespect, uh, cannot be compared to Naseem Shah.
Yeah. No, I don't think Hassan himself, if he was here, he wouldn't want to compare himself. But yeah, yeah. No, it's absolutely. And also, I think it's also from a fan perspective, the way Naseem has won games at the end with
Yeah,
the bat. I think one of the things when he was first, it was first announced and Naseem wouldn't be coming. I mean, Pakistanis are famously always dealing with sadness and depression and crisis with humor. One of the first things that fans were saying and the memes that were being made was about Afghanistan को कौन हराएगा और नसीम नहीं हराएगा. So
yeah. Because
yeah, no,
The most relieved person right now is Fazal Faruqi.
I feel bad for Faisal Faruqi. The kind of situations that he gets put into, even the other day, right at the end, when he was getting hit for four after four after four, I was like, how is this guy always in the situation? Like,
I
bichara
think
yaar.
he himself has to blame for this. And I would put a bit of blame on their bowling coach Hamid Hassan as well. Because when they had Umar Akmal as their bowling coach, Fazal was doing really good. Even Azmat was doing good. Their bowlers were really clicking. But ever
Mm-hmm.
since Hamid has joined the coaching management, the fast bowlers they have kind of lost their bite. And
Yeah,
especially Farouk. And in the death overs, he has been horrible. Really horrible.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I cannot count the games we lost because of Fazal, be it sometimes bowling or batting.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, Umar Gul's amazing. We've seen
Yeah.
how it worked out for him in PSL as well. I mean, uh, Quetta might not be
Umar
the
Gul, yeah,
best.
I think I mentioned Umar Akmal. It's Umar Gul. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, easy. It's fine. I got what you meant. I don't think I expected Omar Akmal to be a bowling coach, but yeah, no. I think Omar Akmal was brilliant, and it was nice to see him there as well. He also when he spoke about his stint with Afghanistan cricket was with a lot of excitement, with a lot of love for the bowlers, which was brilliant. But tell me, so we've talked a lot about Pakistan and Afghanistan, but just to wrap it all up, which players, we've talked about a lot of them now, but which ones do you think will make or break the game for Afghanistan and for Pakistan?
I think Pakistan really need Babar to fire for them
Yeah.
because it should not be the case because other 10 should also be contributing equally.
Yeah.
And, a player cannot have good days at office every single game.
Hmm.
360 is a big target, but I think with the kind of batting form Pakistan has been carrying for a couple of years now, it should have been chased.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the pitch remains the same for both the teams. The conditions remain morely like same or so throughout the
Yeah.
game. So I think they need Babar to click, and they need to maybe take a tough call on Shadab,
Yeah.
bringing him back, and
Yeah.
you know, drop Osama once again. So
Bichara. Yeah.
but
I
I
completely
think those are the two guys. I think if Shadab comes back and he needs to click, He needs
Yeah.
to prove his mettle. And so Babar and Shadab would be my picks for Pakistan. And for Afghanistan, I would say Rahmat Shah and Hashmatullah Shahidi, the captain and vice captain. They
Yeah.
need to step up. It's high time they stepped up. They need to score runs. They can't just be blocking balls and putting pressure on other batsmen. So if Babar scores runs and Shadab contributes either with the bat or with the ball, it's Pakistan advantage. And if Afghanistan somehow click as a an 11, I think they would be a tough team to beat,
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
considering the humiliation they're coming from
Yeah.
against New Zealand.
Yeah, I think they'll be, and rightly so. I feel like Afghanistan should be not just looking for the one win, and I'm sure they're not. I think
Yeah,
they should be aiming much higher. At least three wins in my book, nothing less. And unfortunately, I mean, I'm also a Pakistan fan at the same time, so I really hope we're not one of the three wins or four wins, however many they get. I would completely agree with you. I think that Babar and Shadab needs to come back in, and they're going to be the difference. Shadab is crucial to our lower middle order, crucial to our spin attack. I mean, we can't make excuses for him anymore. And Babar as well. I think for him, more than for the team at this point, because I feel like you said, the rest of the batting is firing. He needs to go well, and
yeah.
for Afghanistan, I mean, I'm biased, so I would say I just really want Ibrahim to do well. I
Mhm.
think we saw some really, really good form from him briefly, but still in the series that we had before the Asia Cup. And I was really happy to see that, even though it was against my team. So, I wouldn't mind a 50. I would still like Pakistan to win, but I wouldn't mind Ibrahim to do well. But yeah, I don't think Afghanistan really need him to do well, but it's just my personal preference here. But yeah.
The history of Gurbaz and Ibrahim is Gurbaz has always been the aggressor, and
Hmm.
Ibrahim has been the anchor. They have been batting since the Asia Cup 2017 Asia Cup together, and that's how they play. And it's not long before Ibrahim gets among runs once again and starts hitting
Yeah.
50s and hundreds because he's
Yeah.
technically very sound and he's someone who works on his weaknesses and always strives to improve his shot play and just get runs for the team.
Yeah, and I mean, fingers crossed after the World Cup. Hopefully, I mean, I heard rumors that they're considering reinstating the Super League for teams across the board. The Super League is very important, and
Exactly.
hopefully, Afghanistan series won't be coincidentally cancelled too often by other teams. I know that Pakistan will definitely play them. That's one thing you can count on. But yeah, I mean, even after Monday, we'll hopefully see each other again, and yeah, I think it'll be a good match, to be honest. Hopefully, a close one finally.
Yeah, close on, but I hope Afghanistan, cross the line this time. Too many heartbreaks. We Afghanistan have fans have had too many heartbreaks against Pakistan now. It's time that we had one win to cherish.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly thought that they were going to make it to the final round of the Asia Cup. I thought that
Mhm.
was a killer story as well. Broke my heart entirely.
Yeah, and once
But
again you had Fazal at the crease.
yeah, and exactly, and it's I this is a Nawaz type of, like, Muhammad Nawaz is also somehow
Yeah,
at the scene of the crime for
they keep
Pakistan.
finding themselves in those situations.
Yeah, it's awful, and Faruqi is a bowler that I really rate. So when I'm watching him mess things up like that, I just it's painful. But yeah, this was a really, really fun preview actually, and hopefully we'll have an equally good game on Monday to
Yeah,
match. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on GRC. It was really,
the
really lovely
pleasure's
talking
mine.
to you, and hopefully we get to do this again. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and yeah, let us know what you think.